Hello everybody, SBY818 with you again. We are up to round 3 of the Manufacturers Series as I look to take on the best of the best, or at least look to crack the top 500. So those of you who watched my previous video will not be surprised to find I left race 2 a little bit like this.
Alright, I'm gonna go cry.
So it absolutely appeals to my competitive nature that I'll look to do as well as I possibly can here. So let's see what we have in store for us today. It is Fuji, the Fuji International Speedway. In the Group 3 Alpha, medium and soft tyres required, 20 laps in total. So let's skip straight ahead to the first flying lap of qualifying. So I can't say this is one of my all-time favourite tracks, but I've had a few races here recently and I'm slowly getting to understand the circuit. There is a number of highly technical corners, especially around the final sector, and you need to get it spot on to avoid serious loss of time around that part of the track. There's a few bits earlier on that are quite tricky as well. This corner included that we're coming up to, you've got to make sure you don't cut it and get a time penalty. And then don't run wide. You see I skidded a little bit there, pulled it round and got away with it. The other main feature at Fuji is the incredibly long start finish straight. You can see it on the map in the top right there. It's going to cause an issue for the Alpha. We saw that in the Group 4 equivalent car last race. Straight line speed is not this car's friend. You can see not too far ahead of me on track is a Ford GT. The relative differences between the cars is certainly something you'll see come into play a little bit later on. But for now, we will come round for the first flying lap. Out onto the straight we come. We'll be looking for a time of around 130, low 137s. Anything in the 136, I think we'll probably almost certainly get pole. As we come through for 137.3, and at the moment, that is good enough for provisional pole, so an excellent start. There'll still be one more flying lap to go. Only a short qualifying. I was hoping it'd be a little bit shorter, to be honest, after that lap, but I'm going to go one more lap and try and improve if we can, just to see off any potential challenges. Through the first sector, slightly quicker, just 0.04 of a second, but taken this corner a lot better this time, so that should get us some more time. This right-hander is a real issue in the race, especially. You can hear the tyres squealing all the way around there. You don't want to be doing that in the race to try and avoid wearing out the left-hand side tyres if at all possible. We now head down this short flat-out section and down into the very tight right-hander. Slam on the brakes, try and cut the corner as much as possible, and you can see I've gone a bit too deep there. That is going to cost me. Again, just trying a bit too hard there. I had to let off the throttle just to allow the car to turn. So this third sector, unfortunately, despite being up in the first sector, this third sector is just gone a little bit wrong. And again, the final corner, it's not smooth. That would come at a reasonable pace, but I don't think this is going to be enough to improve on the time, so we will have to sit back and hope that nobody can beat us. See the Ford ahead looks to have pulled a fair bit further ahead of me, and he's gone pole by just 0.04 of a second, and that is how it finished. So no pole position this time, but we are on the front row of the grid, which is a good start. So I'm going to alter the settings here a bit as we wait for the race to start to try and deal with the varied nature of the track. I'll probably look to be altering the fuel mix and the brake balance settings as we go round. It's not always advisable, particularly if you're having to battle with people, but it will help the car. It will help improve the Alpha's already excellent cornering ability and help ensure that I don't spin out accelerating out of the slow corners. So here we go, start of the race. Lap 1 of 20, round Fuji Speedway. And there's a Ford ahead that needs overtaking. Okay, we are away. I'm going to immediately pull to the inside, stay in the slipstream of the Ford ahead and look to play it safe, because I can see somebody attempting a big lunge down here. Fortunately, doesn't quite happen. He gets very, very close. I do get a little bit of a punt, but in the end it's just helped me around the corner and in fact given me a little bit of a gap to third place. So it's worked out okay in the end. This is why you'll see why, especially if you watch the last video as well, you'll see why qualification is so important in this series, because if you get caught in the middle of the pack, everyone's battling for position, people are sending it, dive bombing all over the place, pushing you around, it just loses you so much time. I'd say if you're not in the front 4 or 5 by the end of the first lap, you've pretty much got no hope of winning the race. But it does appear that the two of us at the front are starting to pull away a bit of a gap. It's nothing to write home about yet, but it is there, nearly a second. My strategy at the start of the race changed from what I originally intended. I did want to start on the medium tyres and get quicker on the softs after the halfway point once I put them on. But being towards the front of the grid, I didn't want to get swallowed up back into the pack that you can see behind in the mirror there. So I decided to start on the soft tyres instead, and you can see, at least for now, that decision looks to be paying off. And we skip ahead now to lap 4, similar position on the track. You can see we've maintained that gap, but we've pulled out the gap to the car behind us in third by over 2 seconds now. So that is a positive development. You can just see heading down the start-finish straight there how much a difference in straight line speed there is between the Alfa Romeo and the Ford GT. That will come into play again a lot later. We're going to speed up a bit as we go through here. You will see that despite the lack of straight line speed, as we head towards this tricky sort of final sector of the track, I'm easily able to make up time on the Ford in the slower corners. That's where the strengths of this car lie, along with the sort of lesser tyre wear and lesser fuel consumption. So I know that Ford GT well. It'll be an absolute pig around this sector. So lap 5, coming towards the end of lap 5 now, still in the tow. And we will head down the straight once again. You can see the Ford pulling away from me, even though I've got the slipstream. And it takes me almost right to the end of the straight in order to start catching up. So I will let off the throttle a little bit here, but I do make a mistake here in that I brake a lot later. I do manage to get the car stopped, but I have to swerve to the side to avoid giving him a punt into the gravel. So an inadvertent overtake there. I was trying to stay behind and save some fuel, save some tyres, just hang around for a while until we went into the pits. But almost by accident, I've hit the lead. So we will skip ahead now all the way to lap 8, and this is where we stand. So I've just about, by this point, managed to drop Wes JJ, the Finnish driver, behind me to the tune of about a second, and that puts him out of slipstream range, which is a big help, but you will still see him gain quite a decent amount on me down the straight. Nothing I can do about that, so I've just got to push on. I know he won't be going for an overtake here, with about a second between us. So that allows him to take the first corner nice and smooth. Could have been smoother. You can see people now on lap 9 starting to pit, the ones that started on the medium tyres, looking to get off them and onto the softs. But once again, sticking to the inside of this long right-hander. I'm having to slow down quite a bit more than I was previously. The tyre wear is starting to bite. It's undoubtedly going to be hitting second place even harder. Before not particularly kind on its tyres either. Just kicking out the end a little bit there, the rear of the car just threatening to get away from me. You can see at the bottom of the screen there that I'm changing the fuel mix down to fuel mix 2 from 1, so just going for a little bit of a leaner fuel. That's That is to save fuel, but it's as much to help me around these corners, make sure I'm not stepping on the throttle too early and putting the rear tyres under pressure, as you saw me do a minute ago. So end of lap 9, unfortunately, I've lost a little bit of time there, and the Ford this time is in slipstream range, and look at how quickly he is going to gain on me down here. You can see me checking my mirrors. He comes absolutely barreling up behind me, and I think because third place is not that far behind, he decides he doesn't want to try and make the move, and he's just giving me a push along, which I will take for now. Not going to complain about that at all. So we stayed this way for the rest of lap 10, and we'll skip ahead now to near the end of the lap. See him still a similar distance behind. Again, he's going to be in slipstream as JJ as we come down the start-finish straight. So I decide I don't want to chance it again. I don't particularly want to give up the lead. So this is the lap where I'm going to drag myself and most likely the people behind me into the pits. Throw it into the pits, off the wall as planned. You won't get a penalty for that, and it'll help you get into the pits quicker. We love a bit of realism in our racing games. And here we go, in for the pit stops. You can see the pit crew absolutely on fire today. But as we come out, the difference in fuel, you can see the Ferrari that was in third has managed to save a lot more fuel in that stint, has come out right on my rear bumper. He's jumped JJ into second place, and he gave me a little push around the corner there, but I'm just happy just to park it on the apex and stay ahead. So, lap 11, we are just over halfway through the race. I'm now 5th, but everybody ahead of me still to stop, so this is still provisional first place for now. Keeping a very close eye on my mirrors at the minute. People are closer to me than they have been pretty much any time since I took the lead a few laps ago. Again, we hit the brakes hard. You can see the Ferrari braking late again. Again, it just about gets away with it. I did get a little tap on the rear there. Again, we escape and look to try and get away through the final sector. This is such a tricky corner. You have to just feather the brakes, make sure you don't go into a slide, and then get as good acceleration out as possible. Then again, I'm taking more of a tight line through that last corner than others are. If you take such a wide line, I think yes, it lets you get extra speed down the straights, but you do lose a lot of time actually in the corner. So, what with straight line speed not being my forte anyway, I felt it better to try and stay close to the inside and make up time in the corner. Okay, lap 12. See other people starting to pit now. There's only one guy ahead now that hasn't pitted yet. He will have to at some point. As we said at the start of the race, it's mandatory to use both the medium and soft tyres. So he will have to pit, and that will get him out of the way. So coming to the end of lap 12 now. This is certainly the longest I've led a race in this series. The question is now, with everybody on the same strategy, or everybody competing on the same strategy, can we hold on? The key to that is consistency, and we're going to run through the laps now. So lap 13 this is, we'll skip ahead to lap 14. You can look at the times on the right hand side, you can see 138.8, 138.5, 138.8. Come ahead to the end of lap 15, onto lap 16 for another 138, pretty much 138.6, and then coming ahead to lap 17 we will do something similar. So I'm being very consistent. There's just one thought going through my mind right now. Don't bottle it. We've only got 4 laps left. Don't blow this. So that is the thought running through my mind as we head into lap 17. We've still got a reasonable gap. Just got to make sure we keep taking the corners properly. Now, is this a penalty? I don't know yet. We don't know yet. It might be. I'm quite far over the curb. I think I've still got wheels on the red and white, but it depends. I need at least 2 wheels on there. So it is squeaky bum time all the way around this corner to see if the penalty alert flashes up. As we come round the next left-hander, it looks like we've got away with it just about. But we take a quick peek back behind us, and what do we see? Look who has got a penalty. It's the guy in 2nd place, our German friend. So that is going to give me a big advantage in the last couple of laps. I fully intend to take it. So we're going to come around the final few corners again. I have pulled out a bit more of a gap anyway. I don't know how he picked up that penalty, but it looks to have cost him some time as well. He's still ahead of JJ in the Ford. So as we come round the final corner for the 17th time, this is where the penalty gets applied halfway down the straight, and it's an absolute killer if you do pick him up, because it just kills your speed for the whole straight. You can see me looking behind now. It's only a short penalty, but he's had to take that. Amazingly, he's managed to stay in 2nd place for a bit. JJ eventually overtakes him, but you see my lead now is out to nearly 3 seconds. So 3 laps from the end, almost a 3-second advantage. Just trying to keep it calm and collected. I can afford now not to push too hard. Still need to have a decent amount of pace about me. There's still a reasonable distance to go. You can see me taking it a lot more carefully there around turn 2 now. The checkered flag. Not there yet, but it is starting to hove into view. The gap now up over 3 seconds. So my job for lap 19 is just to keep it around there. On to lap 19, and we will see that I've managed to keep the gap pretty secure to the end of this lap. And into the final lap of the race. Not long to go now. Through the tricky left-hander one last time. Taking it okay. Again, just keeping it nice and tight. I'm having to slow down a lot now. The tyres, even the medium tyres, starting to wear out just a little bit. To dip below 100 there, but it doesn't matter at this point. I can afford to lose a second or even 2 in the last part of this lap. So just got to keep it nice and tight. See, now dialing the fuel mix down even more, not for any reasons of fuel saving. I've got enough fuel to comfortably get to the end. Just more to make sure that if I do end up getting a twitchy right foot, it doesn't cost me as much as it might do. So easy to get this section wrong. Just got to maintain focus for a little bit longer. Practically crawling around the penultimate corner here and on towards the final corner of the race. There we have it, a victory, an actual victory in the FIA Manufacturers' Championships at the 3rd time of asking. That race in the end played out pretty much perfectly, which is a rare thing indeed. It is going to be a massive boost for me as I move onwards through this championship. You see there, 183 points to boot, which is a big jump over my previous best. So that is going to help me no end. So here's what it means in terms of points and ranking. Up to 13th in the Alfa Romeo manufacturers rankings. Incidentally, I did look at the GT website for some stats, and for some reason they break it down into a mixture of manufacturer and local region. So I can now say that I am the #1 Alfa Romeo driver in Northamptonshire, which is nice. We'll have to crack on and see if we can make it #1 in the UK. Okay, join me next time to see if I can achieve that rather lofty goal. Thank you very much for watching. This has been SBY818. I hope you can join me next time. Goodbye.